speaker is Deputy Tommy Broughan, and I understand you're sharing your time with Deputy Flanagan and Deputy Timmins. So that's 5 minutes for yourself, 10 minutes for Deputy Flanagan, and 5 minutes for Deputy Timmins.
Thanks, Kurt. I think I've 5 minutes, have I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'm delighted to have a chance to speak even briefly on this very important bill, and I welcome some action so belatedly from this government to address some of the issues which have led to our dire housing and homeless crisis. At the outset, however, Cathaoirleach, I'd like to state that I don't believe the bill it won't go very far, if anywhere, towards solving anytime soon towards solving our growing homelessness problem, and won't reverse the undue hardship that's been caused to the mental health and well-being of thousands of families, and especially of children, over the last number of years during your government. This time last week and the week before, and tomorrow evening at this time, when this Dáil won't be sitting, perhaps up to 70 families will be urgently seeking emergency accommodation and not getting emergency accommodation in this city, Minister. And you are responsible for this, and Minister Kelly is responsible for this, and the Fine Gael Party and the Labour Party are responsible for it. And this action, this tinkering with the former Part 5s and so on, won't do what's necessary to try and resolve this problem tomorrow, with hotels packed, 5 hotels I think, totally packed with homeless people, with people sleeping in cars, people trying to survive in the airport, in shopping centres and so on. And that's your legacy, and indeed the legacy of the Fianna Fáil party, when Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil together dismantled our social housing programme in the 1980s. I believe in direct action, Cathaoirleach, that from the state in trying to resolve this crisis, and that the local authorities must become the key developers, not these mollycoddle developers who failed us desperately all the way through the 90s and the noughties, and then walked away. We employed them through NAMA and looked after them, and now here we are trying to set them up again for the 2020s or whatever. But this was the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael agenda all down through the decades. And let's face it, Cathaoirleach, one of our predecessors, Deputy Jimmy Tully, was able to mount a huge housing programme when this country was much poorer in the 1970s. I disagree with Deputy Catherine, whom I respect, up in those benches when she talks about building large social housing estates. In this city we have estates, historic, beautiful estates like Marino or Dooneycarney or Kilmore, and many dozens and hundreds of others that I could mention that were built primarily as social housing in this city. It was when the PD-influenced Thatcherite governments, led by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, destroyed our social housing programme that we got the crisis that we have right now in this city, over in Parkgate Street, and we will have tomorrow evening and over this weekend. Now, I know this bill is intended, as I said, to tinker with some aspects, minor aspects of the organisation of site levies, and Part 2 bringing in this vacant site levy, etc. I welcome that in as far as it goes, etc. It's proposed, of course, very belatedly from the 1st of January 2019, a long time into the next Dáil, in fact, that local authorities will charge this levy annually until lands are brought into use. However, Minister, it's not clear about when will they actually be brought into use. Is it the case, as the distinguished journalist Paul Mealy recently wrote, that developers will be able to avoid the vacant site tax for up to 3 years by seeking planning permission but never building homes? And then when you look through the detail of sections, I think sections 6 to 13, it does seem like an incredibly long drawn-out process between compiling the vacant sites register in the section 6 of Part 2, through to appeals against entry in the register in section 9, determining market value section 12, appealing market value section 13. Sure, I mean, the land will be vacant for years and years while this piece of legislation is working its way through the Bord Pleanála, through the courts and so on. As far as it goes, as I said, I do welcome sections 2 to 7 of section 17, where cover instances where the waiver won't apply regarding significant connections with the new owner, etc., and also section 23, which says that the proceeds of the vacant site levy are hypothecated. I know it was again my former colleague, Deputy Andy Councillor Andy Montague, who argued very strongly that public lands should be subject to the levy as well. And Section 29, of course, amends Section 48 of the 2000 Act, as another deputy has said. But why is it necessary for the reduced development contributions to be retrospective? Why is that there? I welcome Part 5, but again I would ask, like the previous deputy, why is only 10% of housing developments over 9 units to be allocated for social housing, given that we know an additional 18,000 units are needed on an annual basis? So, in conclusion, Minister, it does seem to me that this bill is a tiny step forward, a little bit of a tinkering with legislation which failed in the past, but it's not the solution for the people who are waiting up in Parkgate Street this very minute, this time tomorrow, over this weekend. We need emergency legislation. We need this government to declare a housing emergency and to take the actions led by the public authorities, the local authorities, to build social housing in this city and throughout the rest of the state. Thanks, Caroline.
Deputy